I did not. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you wanted one.
It's all right. All right, we'll open the board meeting of the Board of Health, September 6, 2023 at 7:01. Roll call.
James Leclerc.
Gavin Byers. Chris Nosella is not in. Additions or deletions not anticipated. Do you have anything, Carla?
I do not.
Is Rick on the line?
He was supposed today. He might get on in a little bit. He wanted to be online to talk about the fall meeting schedule.
Okay, we can wait a little bit.
I'm sending him a message right now asking if he's calling it.
That's fine. Can you, is that Rick?
No.
No. Carla, do you have a copy of that letter on you?
The apology,
Yes.
I can get it for you.
Can you
very
just-
quickly.
Take a picture, if you don't mind,
Absolutely.
and text it to me. My email's not
Yes, I
updated.
can. I'm actually on the computer, so.
Do you have any additions or deletions?
No, I don't, Kevin.
Okay, I'm taking a picture now, Gavin.
Thank you.
It's right there.
Perfect, thank you. I have it, Carla. So, we'll go to 1.3, Board of Health Public Statement. So the Board of Health wrote a letter based on the actions of the board from August 9th, and the letter states the following. On August 9th, 2023, the chairman of the Board of Health, James Leclerc, was observed during a public meeting making a personal verbal attack directed toward a Townsend resident. His actions have negatively impacted town residents, town employees, and representatives of the Board of Health. The actions of Mr. Leclerc are regrettable and without question unprofessional. Mr. Leclerc's decision to use a public meeting to address his personal grievances was carried out independently and without the knowledge, consent, or support of the Board of Health or any town employee. The Townsend Board of Health would like to express our sincerest apology to the Affordable Housing Trust members, Veronica and Cynthia, and the town as a whole for Mr. Leclerc's unacceptable actions, and have taken steps to address this matter with the appropriate town officials. Thank you. In addition to that public statement, I moved to town about 15 years ago, and since then, there's been a lot of conversation around town concerning politics. And I joined this board personally to try to be a sound piece to help move forward and grow a family here. I've got 3 boys. My wife and I are both involved in town. We really enjoy this place. We enjoy the people. I enjoy going into the different stores, smiling, saying hello, shaking hands, meeting people. It's a really nice place. We've got a bad rap, and my wife and I have been here to try and change that. And it's been very positive. I have a business in town here. My wife has a business that she operates in town. And we try to be the best role models that we can be for our kids. What happened a month ago and what has happened subsequently since reminds me of the politics that have gone on previously. And that's not something that I'm willing to stand for at all. I know that Jim, you're in a position of caring. I know that you care about this town. I know that you care about this board. I know that you care about my kids and growing up in this future. You've talked about this. You've been on this board a bit of a mentor for me. We've talked about that. What I see now is a glimpse of politics from previous years. Now, everybody here has a responsibility, whether it's 1% or 99% of fault with the town politics. If you have been a person who has not allowed somebody else to speak, if you've been a person who has come into a meeting with a predisposed idea on what you think is going to happen, your percentage goes up. And everybody starts at 1. Nobody's at a 0 from my seat, the way I see it. And if we would all just take that 1%, look in the mirror a little bit, and own that piece of ourselves and that piece of what we represent in this town, the town's going to be a better place. What happened on August 9th isn't Jim's fault. It's a repercussion of what has happened for however long. Now, his actions solely are his fault. His actions are my fault, being a board member here. If things had been different in the previous 10 or 15 or 20 years, I doubt that Jim would get himself to that point. And I'm by no means defending his actions. I'm explaining what I feel the situation is in this town with politics. And I probably wouldn't be talking about this if there weren't people here today looking for an answer and looking, as I am, for a better place to live and some better representation, and to leave some of these things in the past. We had an executive meeting shortly after August 9th. I expressed my feelings. Jim knows how I feel. We didn't come to a conclusion at that point on what we should do as a board. I assume that Chris is as fed up as I am. I know that he is not happy with being on a board that reminds him of the politics from 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 2 years ago. And I feel the same way. It doesn't represent myself. It doesn't represent Jim. And it doesn't represent the other people that are participants of our board. Carla, one of them. Rick Metcalf, who's Both of them are consummate professionals, and they do a really, really good job. Jim, as part of this, I'm going to move on to 1.4, the reappointment of officers. Our last meeting, you were not present. We voted to change the officer positions. I think you understand why. I want you to look back, Jim, at the board and the job that we've done, the three of us, and think in your mind what grade that you would give us as a board. I knew nothing coming onto the board. I've learned a lot. I've sacrificed a lot. It's my oldest son's birthday today. He's 16 years old. I picked him up from practice. I saw him for the first time an hour and 12 minutes ago. And I'm dealing with this right now. And I've done that for 2.5 years, and I cannot continue to do that if we're going to revert back to politics from 2 or 3 years ago. I have 2 autistic children. They deserve me and my time more than the politics of the past. I want you to ask yourself what you would give us as a grade, as a board, prior to August 9th.
As a board,
As
we're
a board.
100%.
100%.
We work together in harmony. We let each other have the floor. We discussed all of our actions and emotions. We decided the very best we could for the people sitting across the table from us. And I had done that for years prior to you coming on, Gavin. And we are a very well-established, organized, knowledgeable board.
And I would agree with you. I wouldn't give it 100%, but I would give it pretty good. I think there's a lot of things we could do better. I think we did a lot of things very well. I think we worked together very well. I think we trusted that we were all here for the same reason. And I think on August 9th, I think that changed our opinion on what was possible. And I'll ask you what changed that day. And I guess I'll preface that question with, I know you have a personal issue with people, as was stated, and that's not the issue that I'm talking about. It is the trust and the ability to work as a board professionally and properly together to represent what's the correct direction for this town. That's the change that I think happened. It's a bit of a rhetorical question.
I had an outburst that nobody knew about. I kept it entirely to myself. Carla wasn't aware of it, you weren't aware of it, Chris wasn't aware of it. And I had to, unfortunately, release probably 7+ years of backup in my mind of abuse from.
Well, let me stop you, Jim, please.
I want to, I'm all done there. I just want you to know that I've been to court and back.
Jim, I don't want to get into your personal.
This is a copy, it's a public record for
It's
everybody.
okay, it's okay. I don't want to discuss your personal
Okay,
stuff here.
I do
That's
want
all.
to discuss it because I was not charged with anything in court. The case was dismissed.
I'm not.
So I'm
Hang on,
being,
before, please, if I may. That's all a personal matter. That's not what I'm concerned with.
Right.
This is what I'm concerned with. I want the Board of Health, and I want to represent the Board of Health and I want to move forward with the Board of Health. Something changed, and it wasn't the outburst. I believe truly that you've done everything that's in your power for this town. Every positive thing that you've put energy and effort into has been completed. I think moving forward, it's a really good time to walk away, smile, shake hands, and when we see each other on the street, we can shake hands, smile, and know that we work together very well and that we put ourselves in the line to do a civic duty for this town. That's how I see this board moving forward.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going anyplace. I got 2.5 years left on my term. I'll have my 24 years in, and I intend to complete it with 100% cooperation from the rest of the board, and I don't ever expect to have another outburst.
And I don't deny, Jim, truly, I don't deny that may happen. But I've had probably 25 people in town ask me what is happening with the board. People are concerned. They understand that there was an outburst and that it's a personal issue. But I think at the end of the day, it represents the politics of the past. And I think people are done with that.
Well, then we have to move forward and let bygones be bygones. I want to go forward with this board. I'm sitting right here and I'm going to do it. I rose my hand and I swore, like everybody else did, 8 times. And I'm going to uphold my obligation to all the other people in this town who really appreciate me and the Board of Health. So, I'm staying.
So the only thing that I can see happening is that, well, let me change this. Would you rather see, based on your assessment of how Chris and I have handled ourselves and the board, would you rather see a board that has Chris and I on it and can move forward with the confidence of this town? Or would you rather see a situation where this town operates without a Board of Health?
If the decision is made that you two decide to go elsewhere, maybe you don't, maybe it's not your best interest to be involved with the Board of Health. We're a team here.
And
We're supposed to work together,
I don't disagree with you.
okay?
Because
You can laugh in
this-
the audience, but I'm sorry.
I think they understand that this is down here on my priority list, personally.
Mhm.
But I think that they understand, and I think that in a democratic representative fashion, if people are showing up in support of a certain situation, we have to acknowledge what's happening. And what's happening is nobody likes what is going on with this current board.
I'm holding comment.
Okay.
I will go forward as I've done in the past and work with the board. And that's my decision.
And I'm not, I'm not here to give you an ultimatum. I expressed to you personally how I felt
Mhm.
in our executive meeting. And I would rather, I would take a poll and I would put money on it, that people would feel better and they would respect you more if the board continued on without you on the board. And I think that there's positions that are here that are not going to waver on that, and that they are going to fight against you. And I don't have the energy to exist in the periphery of that. I just don't have that. Now, in 10 years, that may change. I've done what is right from a civic standpoint, I believe, as much as I could, and I'll continue to do that. But I don't have the energy to fight that for you. And I don't have the energy to fight that beside you, and it's going to be a long uphill battle.
It's totally unnecessary to be a long uphill battle. It's a matter of going back to the harmony we had before. I have a lot invested in this town, and yes, there's people on the other side of this table, but there's a whole bunch of people out there that haven't been talked to that approve of me, and the polls showed it voting day.
A lot's changed though, Jim.
Well, let's see what the change is.
And I'm not gonna speak for the people that aren't here in this room, but I know people that we work with on this board. I know as a middle-aged man that these days are uncomfortable,
Mhm.
right? I can only imagine how someone who doesn't live in this town has to come to this town and deal with this stuff must feel. And that's not anything that I would wish on anybody to have to deal with. If somebody wants to wallow in their misery on their own, that's fine. But to have to work on something like this is just, it's confusing as to why, if I knew that I was somebody that was bringing harm to somebody else just by my presence, I would be mortified. I really would. And I would do everything I could to try to remedy that, even if I disagree with any of their politics. And I understand where you're coming from. I understand the way politics works, and I understand that, you know, Veronica, if I may, I don't know if I would agree with her politics, but I'm sure as hell gonna let her speak. And I'm sure as hell going to offer her a seat to express to me in a comfortable, professional, respectful way, so we can have a conversation and find out in Board of Health terms what's gonna float to the top and what's gonna sink to the bottom.
I think you're really pushing the buttons here, and you haven't been around long enough to have observed a lot of stuff that goes on. I think they're being rude right now, but that's my opinion. So, there's still a lot to learn, Gavin, and I know what goes on in this town a lot more than you do.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
And that's why I'm standing firm, and I'm gonna stick my term out.
Okay.
It will get better.
Well, time ticks.
It does tick. It does tick.
Okay. I'm sorry, Jim. I truly am.
Put some more thought into this and observe what goes on in the next couple of months, and you'll probably change your mind. In the wake of watching a person attempt to intimidate other people to remedy a situation that was unprovoked is not something I'm going to stand beside. It's not something that I can say with confidence, this is a positive thing. It just isn't. Gavin, unfortunately, I can't talk about other departments in this meeting because this is a Board of Health meeting.
Sure.
but I have attended other meetings where there's been similar treatments. And if you are knowledgeable of that, which you are not, I'm sure you'd have a little bit different opinion as to what's going on right now. Now, I've set my mind, I've told you in front of an open meeting that I am not leaving. And I'm just going to suggest you do what you want to do, but I'm going to suggest we move the meeting on.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I just want you to know, Jim, I appreciated the time. I did.
Okay.
I appreciated it. I did learn a lot. I do understand your point of view. I do understand your passion. But I can't agree with your methods.
Things happen in life and we all do things our own way occasionally. Right, wrong, or indifferent.
But
That's
you
what
gotta,
happens.
you gotta take responsibility for it.
I've taken responsibility for a whole bunch over many, many years. Many years. And that's why I'm able to sit here with a firm conscience and realize I'm going to continue to govern myself for the people of the town of Townsend.
Okay. We'll move on. Rick, are you on the line? Carly,
Yes, I am.
you are? Do you have any permits? I don't have anything here.
No septic permit.
Do you have any additions or deletions? If we'll go back, I think you weren't on while we were talking about that.
No, I did not.
Okay. 1.6 fall meeting schedule. Rick, you might want to wait, unfortunately, on that,
Okay.
if you don't mind. It'll probably be easier to schedule.
Okay.
1.7 increased Board of Health permit fees discussion. Carla, where are we on that?
We are only about 30% benchmarking. The Neshoba towns, Rick and I talked about it, and we feel that we should have more information. Rick, I didn't see anything today, email.
I have not either, so everything I've sent to you, I think the last one was at the beginning of the week. That's everything that I've got up to this point.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have an update though.
All right.
Done.
Okay. So at this point, we'll move on to the work session. I'm going to move 1.10.3 next meeting TBD up for right now. Just before we move into the work session, just to say that to you, Carla, to Rick, I appreciate everything that you guys have done. This will be my last board meeting for the Board of Health, and I apologize to the town. I think
It's a shame.
I think
We're sorry to lose you.
if you guys could just understand, my
Absolutely.
perspective, my point of view, and I'll ask you, take that 1%. Take that responsibility. Not everybody is as forgiving and willing in the world. Not everybody has an understanding of what you've gone through. Just take that 1% for a minute, take a breath, look in the mirror, and act responsibly for yourself in the moment you can, and do the best you can with what you have at that moment. The town is a good place. I've enjoyed my time here. I've enjoyed meeting people. I've enjoyed helping people. I've enjoyed being pulled aside and said, hey, what do you think about this? How can we help? And I've enjoyed trying to do my best for those things. So I appreciate all of you guys coming here. And for anybody, Jim included, if you see me around town, I expect a smile and a handshake. I truly do, and I appreciate it. So, thank you guys, and Chaz, thanks
Thank
for
you.
attending as well. I appreciate it.
Great loss.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gavin.
especially you, Rick. There truly isn't anybody as professionally prepared that I've seen as you are, and I really appreciate your time and your patience, helping me out, helping the board out, and the town owes you a great deal of gratitude, and I don't think that reaches you very often, but I appreciate it. All
All
right,
right, appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you.
you're welcome. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask for a motion, Jim, if you.
Motion to close the Board of Health meeting at 7:34.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Okay. There's a-
We can talk now.
Yeah.
Well, we can talk after tomorrow.
I feel you're making a miscalculation.
I may be, but, this is, in this seat right now, the best decision I can make for my family.
I appreciate that big time, because I know what you've gone through to try to be here for our meeting.
Yeah, it's a lot. Appreciate it.
Okay? Have a good night.
Thanks for all you've done. Thank you.